Have you been wondering whether or not you should use a 3PL or even what a 3PL is? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, I want to share my experience with my first 3PL. I want to share with you what they are, why you should need them, and all of the questions that you should ask when you go into using a 3PL. So stay tuned. So if you are new here, guys, a big, huge welcome to my channel. My name is Dallas Gordon. You can find all kinds of things on this channel, from business tips to creativity stuff, motivation. Just look around, get comfortable. There is some amazing content on this channel. So I hope that you hang around. So today, guys, we are talking about 3PL, and 3PL stands for third party logistics. This is a business or warehouse. This is a partnership that you go into for your business to handle all of your packaging, your inventory, your receiving, your shipping, all of that good stuff. These companies will handle for you. So I kind of want to talk about, some of the pros and cons, my own sort of like story, my own experience, what I didn't like about a 3PL. But more importantly, guys, I really want to go through a list of questions. And I actually have my list in my journal, guys. I have my whole list of questions that you can actually ask a potential 3PL so that you don't fall upon some of the same mistakes that I did. So let's backtrack a little bit. Some months ago, I decided to move my subscription box business to, and I'll call it a fulfillment center from here on out, okay? Because it just rolls off my tongue better. But I decided to move my business to a fulfillment center. My family and I were primarily packing boxes since last year sometime, but during that time, my business grew tremendously to some hundreds of subscribers very quickly. Also, it was during the pandemic, so I really didn't feel comfortable like hiring people and bringing people into my home, being as though my youngest children are at risk and stuff like that. So I didn't want to bring people in during that time. So it was just me and my family doing the fulfillment. We were very burnt out, tired. Okay. It would take us days to pack boxes, and I just couldn't do it to my family again. So I hastily decided to move my business to a 3PL, to a fulfillment center. I partnered with someone. I'm on the East Coast. This business is on the West Coast. So I partnered with someone on the West Coast to actually do my packaging and shipping for me. And because, guys, this was a very hasty, quick move for me that I really believe I kind of did out of fear. I really did kind of suffer some consequences for the moves I made. So I want to kind of share with you guys some of the things that you should look out for. But before we get into that, I do have some other videos on my channel about fulfillment centers and whether or not you should go with them or not, and what are the pros and cons of working with them, and why you should make a move to a fulfillment center. But I would say, guys, that your business should have grown tremendously to scale where you really cannot run it in your own home. It's out of the question for you to do it yourself, or you really just don't want to do it yourself. So I would say if you really dislike packaging your own orders, hiring, doing things like that, like this is something you totally are not in love with, you don't like to do it, it makes you miserable, I would say you want to look into hiring that process out and partnering with the 3PL. If you find some joy in the experience, you just need a more efficient way to work, or you just need a bigger space, in that case, you may want to look at sort of finding your own space or getting or learning a more efficient way to work. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. So for me, I really didn't give having my own too much of a thought. I just X'd that out as impossible. I didn't see myself pulling that off, but I don't necessarily hate the fulfillment process. I just was not doing it efficiently. So I went and I vetted out a fulfillment center. Very brief conversation with the guy who owns it. I really didn't get into depth. I came into it with some questions, but I came into it with limited knowledge because I had never worked with a fulfillment center before, and I hadn't really read up on the types of questions I should be asking. So I kind of came into it, very inexperienced, and I had some bad experiences because of that. So some of the reasons why I left my fulfillment center was because it was really, really all good at first. Like the first couple months of working with the fulfillment center, I was very, very happy with my experience. But after that, I feel like the ball started to be dropped. Like one of the things that I really didn't like was the communication piece. People just weren't really communicating with me that worked there. I had questions day in and day out that I needed to ask so that I could make sure I order the right inventory, or, what's there, what's missing, what do you have? Different questions that you just need to have about your own business. And I was waiting long days to get answers. So that was one of the things that I didn't like. Another thing is I'm on the East Coast and they're located on the West Coast. So another thing I didn't like, guys, was that I was having to pay increased postage on every single package. So I want you to really, really be mindful of this. This is something that I overlooked. When you do go with a fulfillment center, guys, you really, really want to be mindful of where the fulfillment center is located versus where your business is located now. Because if the business is located really, really far away, guys, just know that the postage may go up. They may tell you that they'll save you money on postage, which is what I was told. But once we actually started shipping products, I found out very quickly that I wasn't being saved money on postage. And at that point, my whole business was moved all the way across states. Okay, so I kind of had to deal with it. So that was cost that I wasn't prepared for. So every single box I was taking from my profit for every single box. So that's something to think about. Another thing was the mistakes that were being made, and the fulfillment center wasn't taking any accountability, and I was losing money on some of those mistakes. And what I'm saying is like multiple boxes being sent to one person more than once, things like this. I don't have a problem with mistakes. I make mistakes here when we pack and ship. It's just that there was no accountability taken for those packages. Until today, I have several packages just floating out there since I've had to move my business back to my state. There are still packages that are kind of floating out there, guys, that the fulfillment center has literally taken no responsibility for them not being delivered, and I haven't gotten any money back on those packages. So those were the things that really made me want to take my business back. So I prepared some questions, and I probably won't go over this whole list because it's really long, guys, front and back, but I want to kind of read over some of the questions that I asked. So number one is you want to ask how long this fulfillment center has been in business, just to make sure that they're not a fly-by-night company. You want to ask for references. So if the company is not willing to put you in touch with some happy customers, and they tell you, oh no, we're not allowed to give you anybody's information, that is a huge red flag. You should be able to talk to somebody. Another thing also is a tour. Either they should be willing to welcome you in, to fly in, to be able to take a tour, or with COVID, some people are a little more reserved by that. They should at least be willing to give you a virtual tour. Also, you should set up a meeting with the fulfillment center, and you should bring your questions. And it doesn't matter how long, the sheet is. You need to bring your sheet of questions, and you really want to feel like that person is taking time to answer each of your questions one by one and not rushing you off the phone or rushing the process, because it's very, very important that you get all the correct information about the moves that you're making. And again, guys, watch out for postage, watch out for shipping rates, okay? And get examples of the shipping rates for your people, going from where most of your subscribers are located, where your customers are located. Get real shipping rates in real time from the fulfillment center, from where they're located, so you can really see, are you saving money with postage, or are you really going up in cost? Because that can really make or break your business, especially a subscription business. So that's also very, very important. Even receiving overseas shipments. So if you work a lot internationally with receiving shipments, boxes, whatever it is that you're ordering out of the country, you want to make sure that they're located in a reasonable space along a port, or they're close, where you want to ask some questions about how fast items come from the port, because there are certain locations that in the States where stuff just kind of sits, and it's known to sit in that area. And so you may have to wait longer to get your packages from overseas. So you may have to make preparations for that, or that may be just a a deal breaker for you. I don't know. Do you have a dedicated customer service person, or how can I get in touch with you, and how quick are you going to get back to my messages? So packaging and shipping, guys, it is so important that whoever you partner with, you really, really, really want to make sure that this person has really good communication, they're really all over customer service. There's a potential fulfillment center that I was speaking to and interviewing. She actually gave me her personal phone number to text her, the owner did, and to call her, and she communicated with me frequently by text or by calling, just to let me know, oh, I'm available around the clock. Even though I'm in a different time zone, I'll always be available because remember, when you partner with a center, this should be an extension of your business. It's very challenging to outsource this important part, which is the delivery of the product, which is why people buy from you, is that product. So if you can't communicate quickly and efficiently with the people who are handling the product piece, it can be very, very challenging, and it can make you lose subscribers or customers. So you want to make sure that they have a dedicated customer service person who, if you have questions or there are things that you need to communicate about, you need answers in a timely manner. So you want to make sure that they have a customer service person. You want to ask about packaging. What do they include? What do they not include? You want to explain your packaging process. You want to know what extra fees are involved. Do they have a flat rate, or do they have a lot of extra fees? A lot of fulfillment centers, guys, have a lot of extra fees. They literally nickel and dime you for everything. They nickel and dime you for storage, picking and packing, doing every little thing that they have to do. They are adding on fees. So where the base price may be low, watch out for additional fees and ask questions about them. Is your packaging just basic, or is your packaging more detailed? There are certain fulfillment centers that will get very, very detailed with your packaging. I'm talking detailed down to handwriting your notes to customers. There are fulfillment centers that will do that, but most of them will not. So if you have very girly or very specific type of packaging, you want to be very, very careful about who you go with, and you want to ask questions. And if you get any hesitation about specific packaging, you want to be careful with that element, okay? Because a lot of them don't like very, very tedious process when it comes to packaging. They just want to be one and done. So you really want to make sure that the fulfillment center matches your current flow with what you have going on for your packaging. Ask them how much in advance do they need your items. And there are plenty of other questions, guys. This is just trying to cover a lot of them. Ask them how much in advance you need to have the items to them to be able to ship them by the shipping date requirements that you have. Some of them really want stuff in advance so that they can have you pack in advance. Some are okay with getting stuff last minute, but these are questions that you want to ask. Do they charge extra to inspect the inventory? That's all a part of picking and packing. Can you provide promotional videos? Like, one of the biggest things that was frustrating for me was getting little small videos and photos of my products. Now that my products were moved out of my location, I could no longer market like I wanted to with pictures and videos the way that I wanted to, not the same way, not with the large effect with all my items. So the fulfillment center really sort of struggled with providing some of that content. They did some, but it was just like a constant nagging thing happening. So it would be good if you had someone that can provide that for you. And of course, there are workarounds for that. So I think that pretty much covers it, guys. Just thoroughly do your work, do your research, get your references, go through your questions, do your virtual tour or your in-person tour. Really, really take your time. Interview different fulfillment centers. That's another mistake I made, was I only interviewed one. Interview different fulfillment centers, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put some resources down, and I'm going to look up some of the resources I have to help you down in the description box. Definitely check out the description box for any additional resources, and let me know what your experience is. Have you experienced this? Have you been with a fulfillment center? Has it been a good experience for you or a bad experience for you? Do you have any additional questions for me about going with a fulfillment center? Let's keep the conversation going, guys, down in the description box, and let me know what you think about this topic, okay? So be blessed. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget, whatever you put your hands to shall prosper if you believe, and I'll see you guys later.